Hi, everybody. It's Colton. Welcome back to the Mile 17 podcast. It's been a while, man. It's been a while since we've done this, especially since I've had a solo episode with you guys to just sit here and chat. I have a little conversation in mind today, and I'm excited to share my thoughts with you. I've really enjoyed having guests on the podcast, and I plan to continue doing that. But I do love doing these solo episodes too because it's kind of just me talking to you and sifting through these thoughts. And hopefully, you can relate to some of the things that I'm saying. And although maybe you don't agree with everything or it doesn't necessarily translate directly into your life, it can maybe plant a seed for you to come up with that idea or to take that next step or whatever that may be. Maybe you're stuck and trying to get over some kind of hurdle or feeling stuck, and you just need somebody's perspective to just kind of push you over that hurdle. If you're watching this on YouTube on video, you can see my beautiful Kona. She's blurred in the background. But we are in a new apartment, and I have a podcast studio downstairs in this complex that I plan on using. I just need to kind of figure out times to get down there and just make sure everything's going to work down there. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. It looks pretty nice to use. So I'm excited to give that a shot. But whatever, if it doesn't work, we'll just continue doing this out of my living room because this also works too. So I felt pulled to talk about this concept today of doing everything all at once. And what I mean by that is so often in my own life, I have found that I have this idea, I have this huge, big idea, and I go take action to do this idea. And I try to change too many things all at once, way too drastically. And what I have found is this leads to burnout and ultimately just kind of giving up and fading out of this goal or ambition that I had. And I've even noticed that a little bit with doing this podcast is I jumped headfirst into this. I went all for it, and there's been times where it's led me to burn out because at first I was trying to do 2 episodes a week and I was managing all these social medias and trying to also work full time as a nurse, and just it was just way too much. I took way too much on my plate at once and I was feeling burnt out. And so I had to take an inventory of my life and sift through the things that I felt were most important for me right now to get me to the goals that I have. And let me put this into kind of perspective for you as to how this really hit me a couple years ago. So in 2021, my partner and I left Arizona. I've talked to you guys about this before, and we moved to the East Coast. We spent about 3 months in Providence, Rhode Island, as I was doing a travel nurse assignment there. And then after that, we moved to Boston, which is where we've been in the Boston area since beginning of 2022, January, February of 2022. And when I moved to Boston, I looking back in hindsight, I changed way too many aspects of my life all at once. And that was one of the most difficult times in my life. Not only, moving to a new city, it's hard, it has its challenges. You don't know anybody. You are trying to find your rhythm. You're trying to find out where you're supposed to go grocery shopping, where you're supposed to get your hair cut, where you're supposed to take your dogs. Literally everything you do every single day is brand new. You don't know the roads. You're trying to get home. You don't even know how to get there. You have to use GPS. It's stressful. You're trying to find your gym. So, although I think moving to a new city is amazing and it's such a wonderful adventure if you look at it through that lens and you're open to it, but it can be stressful. There's times where you're like, oh my God, what the hell did I just do to my life? And when I moved here, I changed everything in my life, and I mean everything. I moved to Boston within a couple months, okay? I moved to Boston. I switched specialties, so I left the emergency department as a nurse and I went into the ICU. I adopted a dog. I already had a dog, so I brought in another dog into my life. And on top of all that, my partner and I sold my car and decided to just share one car, which neither of us had ever done before. We've always had our own cars, even before we met. And that may sound silly and small and like it's not a big deal, but that is a major life adjustment to have to coordinate sharing a car. And it's been a few years now, and we still have some struggles with it because it's not easy. You are fully depending on each other's schedules. You have to communicate And there's times where we're just like, shit, like, what are we going to do? And we have to just like fork out the money for an Uber because that's just the way it is. And as I was thinking about this topic, because this time in my life was very, very hard. I was depressed. I was like, I had way too much on my shoulders. I remember working at this new job in the ICU while I was training. I had a dog camera at home so I could watch my new puppy that I thought was contained. And I'm like, watch. I remember this specifically at this shift, and bless the preceptor I had. Shout out to Emma, that was the nurse's name, because I was like, oh my God, like I need to like step away because my puppy, she was like a few months old, was loose in my apartment and was not potty trained, was eating everything, like just because she's a puppy. And I remember watching on this camera and she's not there. And she was a terror as a puppy, as most puppies are. So, like I said, I'm in this new job. My dog's escaping her crate or her we didn't have her in a crate. We had her like fenced in in this like little we made like a little pen for her, like a little playpen. This little gremlin here knew how to climb up and out, which I was shocked at because she was so tiny. I didn't think she'd even be able to get out there. Anyways, so that on top of, again, the new job in a new city, I'm not only are we like trying to share the car, I'm like biking to work, which I had never done. It was like 5 to 6 miles one way to bike. So, I live in New England. You never know what the weather's going to be like. Like, it was such a struggle. And I look back and I'm like, no wonder I was so stressed. No wonder I was burnt out. And it's no wonder that I failed. I failed so hard at this transition because I probably lasted in that job maybe 6 months. And I'm not saying that if I had like just taken that job that I would have stayed there forever, but I guarantee you I would have had a little bit more patience and a little bit more gas in the tank, if you will, to carry out my goal that I was trying to do. As there was a reason I was working in this ICU. I was, toying with the idea of going back to school, and the specific route that I was taking, I needed some good, solid ICU experience. 6 months ain't gonna cut it, that's for sure. But I got to a point to where I was like, I hate this. I'm not doing this. And I left. I pieced out and no regrets. I think that ultimately that was the best decision. And I think I probably would have gotten to that point anyways, because it just wasn't my jam. It wasn't for me. I, I'm glad. I'm thankful. I understand now a little bit. I guess I understand that like that wasn't the route for me, and I'm in a way thankful that I failed. I really am, because I did not want to go that route, and it worked out in my favor. On top of feeling burnt out, when you have all these things that are so fresh and new that you don't know how to navigate, like you take so much on your plate that's like you're shifting your whole life around, you lose confidence and you feel incompetent. Like, you don't know how to get to work, you don't know how to take care of this like animal you just brought in, and you don't necessarily know the specialty of the whatever job you just got into. Like, it's all, yes, I'm a nurse, but like, there's a huge difference between going from the emergency department to the ICU and vice versa. If there's an ICU nurse heading down to the ER, like, it's just different. Like, yes, you have the foundation of the knowledge and some skills, but like it's just a very different style of nursing. And so then you start to lack confidence, lack competence, and you feel like you are, honestly, I just felt stupid. I felt like an idiot. I felt like I had lost this grasp on my life. Like, I was thinking back, I'm like, oh my God, a few months ago, like I was living in the Phoenix area. Like, I had everything down. I was going to the gym. Like, I had a good job. I was moving up in the emergency department, like getting more responsibility, getting new roles. I already had my dog. Like, we had just moved into this like a beautiful apartment. We were killing it. Like, I had like nothing really to worry about. And it was like we had this amazing idea to like come to Boston, and it was like I just dropped a bomb on my life and everything just like went up in flames because like I changed everything at one time. And that's what I'm trying to get through to you right now. Like, that's the impetus of this episode is, when you have ideas or you have, there's this seed planted in your brain and you're like, I want to do this. Like, I want to switch jobs, or I want to go down this health journey, or I want to get as fit as I can, or I want to, find a relationship. Like, amazing, great, like go for it, but like take small steps. Like, you can jump head first and go for it and change all these things in your life. Like, I'm not saying it's not possible, and I know people do it. What I'm saying is I think there must be research on this, like the success rate of making these major life changes, I'm sure is higher if you take the time to make small steps instead of just like jumping all in at whatever it is that you're going to do. And because with those small steps, what I have found is you start to gain it's confidence. It's all about confidence. You start to, you know, do little things. You're like, oh, I can do that. Okay, let me add a little bit more. Like maybe when I moved to Boston, should have maybe stuck with the emergency department at the time. And if I really was like, if I had it in my heart, I was like, I just really want this dog. Like I love her so much. I want to adopt her. I want to bring her home. My other dog wants a friend. Amazing. Okay, do the job you know how to do. So that takes that stress off. And get the dog, raise the dog, get it to where it's more independent and doesn't need as much of your attention. Okay, 6 months later, 8 months later, a year, depending on the dog. All right, now let's go apply for that job and let's try to make that step. Other way around too. If the job felt more important, you felt like you wanted to get that first, then maybe not get the dog. Take the job, get yourself settled in that job, get yourself confident, competent, where you're not having to use as much brain capacity, and you have more in the tank to now bring in a dog and raise it. And I could go for this as well. Like moving to Boston was like the main change that we were making, and that comes with a lot of already like huge life changes when you're moving city. Looking back, if I could have maybe changed it, maybe I would have prioritized that instead. Like learn the city, learn how to be here again, keep the same job, maybe not get the dog right away, and start with that. And maybe if we had, moved to Boston and sold the car, we could have probably just managed that, learning how to navigate the city, learning how to kind of get around here and sharing the car, and then moving on to the next thing. I hope that makes sense to you because it makes sense in my head. And I think that some of you will resonate with that maybe there's been times in your life where you're like, oh, yeah, I was trying to do this thing. And like now that I'm looking back, like I was changing 100 other things at the same time. Let me put this into perspective of maybe something else that you can relate to. A lot of people I know are trying to, go down a health journey, get more fit, change their eating regimen, just like whatever reason that is for them that they want, like they want to live a healthier life. Amazing, fabulous. I have so much passion around this topic because as the cliche saying goes, health is wealth, and I fully believe that. I fully support that. I think at the end of the day, if you're sacrificing your health for money or anything else, then you're missing out on the bigger picture of life. Our health is our wealth. If we are healthy, if we feel good mentally, and we have the physical and mental stamina to withstand anything or things in our life, then that's the true wealth. Like you can't how can you go about your life if for me, like if I'm not feeling healthy, like I this leaks into every other aspect of my life. And this will be a whole nother podcast episode. I could go down a whole rabbit hole on this because it's the damn truth. And I will die on that hill because it is vital to our survival and to living a high quality life, in my opinion. So, as I was saying, let's relate this to a health journey. Say you wanted to go on a health journey and get yourself fit, get your health in check. If you decide to do this and you drastically change everything. So, say let's take for example, let name this person Todd. Let's say Todd has not exercised regularly in 2 years and he doesn't follow any kind of like regimen as far as his eating goes. Like he just kind of eats whatever and, doesn't have discipline around the things that he chooses when he goes out with friends. Like, will just eat anything, have as many drinks as he wants, like before bed at night, like eats a pack of Oreos. Like, there's just no discipline or rhyme or reason to things that he eats every day. And say Todd likes to stay up late until 1 or 2 in the morning and then sleep in until 9 or 10. Or if he has to work, he gets up, rolls out of bed, throws on clothes, brushes his teeth, and out the door he goes as he's grabbing McDonald's on the way to work. Say that's Todd's life, okay? All right. So we got Todd's picture in our head of his life. So say Todd decides, oh man, I want to get healthy. Like I have a wedding coming up next year and I just want to be healthy. I want to look good. I want to feel good. And I just want to overall be healthier for this wedding. Say that's the goal, the ambition to start this health journey. So there's a few routes Todd can take. Imagine Todd is like, all right, I'm going all in on this. And he starts, wants to get up early every day, go to bed early, and he wants to start a regimen. Not, I don't want to call it a diet, but just like a healthy eating regimen for his body, his lifestyle, and start working out 5 days a week. Okay, that's a drastic change. Imagine going from Todd's pretty sedentary life, not paying attention to what he eats, staying up as late as he wants, sleeping in as late as he wants when he can, and let's say Todd works remotely, so he has the ability to sleep in as late as he wants. If you're going to drastically change all this and now you're thinking you're going to be in bed by 9 p.m., up by 5, eating healthy, 3 meals a day, meal prepping, going to the grocery store, figuring out the fruits, the vegetables, the proteins, like the things that he should be eating, and a good healthy gym regimen as far as physical activity goes, whether that's running, going to the gym and lifting weights, or swimming, going to yoga, going to Pilates. There's a million different ways to exercise. Imagine if he changes all this at once. Todd's gonna, for the first week, maybe two, be so motivated, be on top of it. He's gonna be feeling good, doing his thing. And then that second week's gonna roll around and he's gonna start slowly falling off because again, he changed everything in his life all at once. And now, after a week, he's burnt the hell out, as anyone would be. I mean, it's hard to make these big changes. That's why healthy living is not necessarily easy until you've been doing it for a good amount of time and it's just part of you and the part of your life that you don't even have to think about. Like, it's not easy because there's so many temptations and distractions and ways to live unhealthy, especially in this country, that like if Todd goes and changes all of this all at once, he's probably going to fail unless he has the determination and grit of, I don't even know, some crazy person is what I will call it. because it's almost crazy to be able to do something like that. Then he's probably going to fail. And what I would recommend in this situation, again, if this is you, if you're wanting to go down a health journey for whatever reason that is, start small. Like, start so small. If you stay up late, start going to bed half hour earlier and then an hour earlier. Start small. And if you want to add in a physical activity, start going for a walk every day for 10 to 15 minutes and just get that habit forming. You can read all the books on habits and listen to all the other podcasts and health gurus. Like, if you start small and start creating that little habit of like, oh, I walk every day for 10 minutes, like, it will ripple. There will be a ripple effect and you will be able to build on that foundation you're creating. But if you don't have a foundation and you just like build this building as tall as you can, it's going to crumble. It's going to fall if there's not a good foundation. So start going to bed 10 minutes earlier, start walking 10 minutes a day. Start, if it's the diet, the food, start cutting out that one thing. If you have a huge bowl of ice cream every night before bed, try to cut that out before you just go strict paleo or straight keto diet or whatever looks best for you. Like, just, start small, cut out the ice cream. If you are the one that struggles with waking up early in the morning, set your alarm clock 5 minutes earlier to the first day and see how that goes. And make these small incremental changes to build the foundation of the habits. And from there, you will be able to build on that. Does that make sense? And I'm not claiming to be any kind of expert in this. I, as anybody else, struggle with habit forming. It's hard. It is hard work. So, but like, the point that I really want to emphasize here that I have learned in my life is not doing everything all at once. Start small. Don't change everything else because you will probably burn out. And I just feel like this makes your life so much easier if you can start small, start with a foundation, and build on that versus doing everything all at once. All right, guys, I hope that kind of resonated with any of you, or that you can relate to that. And if you've been thinking about making these changes in your life, that maybe it just put a light bulb in your head to be like, oh, I don't have to change it all at once. Like, I can start small and build on that habit. Like, this doesn't have to be a drastic overnight change. And I think us as a society, especially now, we're so used to like things now, fast results. Like, everything from, Ozempic to like all these things and like technology that just like make it so fast. And at our fingertips, there's something to be said for starting small and allowing the progression to be natural and watch the changes take effect from your small changes in your life versus these big drastic changes. So, thanks everybody. That's what I got for you today. Again, thank you so much for being here. The Mal 17 podcast is back. This is amazing. I'm so glad that you're all here, and I hope you got something out of it. And if you did, share this with somebody, send it to your loved ones, or if you know that somebody is kind of going through this or struggling with making changes in their life, send this to them and see if maybe they'll resonate with something that I talked about today. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. Share on your platform, share this episode, and we'll catch you next time. See you guys.